remiss of us not to discuss security. And what's the situation there with it's an operation without a name so far. What is the situation right now?
Quiet. But we cannot say we've won. We can't. It's quiet. The situation, it's subdued. The gang warfare is subdued. But suddenly we had to get rough in the beginning. We had no choice. And I make absolutely no apologies for the actions that I instructed to be taken. I make no apologies for it.
But you talk about getting rough, Mr. Prime Minister, but I think the police ought to be commended in a sense. Because there's been no shootings. Yes.
And the police have been very disciplined.
Yeah.
They've been very disciplined. Because
except there's a complaint, huh?
Yeah, from the former sergeant.
Yes, yes.
Well, again, you can't get a perfect world.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. The police, people tell you about social programs and there's no courthouse. I agree. 100%. But not because there's no courthouse, a man must walk in a man at 4 o'clock and shoot him in his head. What does no courthouse have to do with that? You walk up to a man and shoot him in his head at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? That doesn't make no sense. That doesn't make any sense. That was wanton criminality. It was criminality, and then we have to stamp it out. I make no apologies for that. But the social interventions are coming. The social interventions are going to be enhanced. There have been social interventions. You must understand, it's the same people complain about STEP. The same people who tell you, oh, you give these people money to do nothing. These are the same people, These are the same people that tell you, these people are lazy, they don't work. The same people. When the government initiates STEP, what we're saying is that there are a cohort of people who their skills are very low. The time they'll take to learn something, they're going to be starving. So you help them with STEP. While you help them with STEP, you do some environmental things, and then you teach them gradually, which is what we're doing. We're doing it through hope. We're doing it for these kind of activities. But the same people tell you, oh, the wasting money, put money, you are developing medicants. The same people who tell you about this, who make complaints about these things. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to hope that the escalated crime bill, police powers bill, hasn't got to be extended for any length of time.
Is there a sunset on this?
No.
Okay.
It has the minister has to designate a time period.
Okay.
So up to now it's up to the 16th of May. So after May,
that's for Vieux Fort.
For Vieux Fort now.
Yes.
So we can either extend it or stop it.
Yes. But one question quickly, Mr. Prime Minister. Why must there be an escalation in the violence for the
bill to come in?
Yes, because simply, if you as the Minister for National Security get word that a situation is brewing, but it hasn't resulted in the shooting, but the situation is brewing, why shouldn't that legislation be made to apply?
No, it can kick in.
Okay, it can.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's once the minister and the Commissioner of Police agrees that the situation is brewing, I prepare a statutory instrument.
Okay.
I don't have to go back to Parliament.
No, statutory instrument.
And that's for 2 weeks.
Yes. But what's going on right now, we all know is not sustainable. The level of policing.
No, it can't.
So what is a long-term plan?
Okay. Let's look at the enforcement part of it. Let's look at the enforcement first, and we're going to get to the social issues. The enforcement part of it is that we are recruiting 60 new policemen. 16 or 60? 60. Yeah. 60 new policemen.
Yes.
60.
Is it going to be done? And I have some concerns about that, Mr. Prime Minister. Is it going to be done like it has always been done before? Because I think we need to be exceedingly vigilant with the quality of people we attract into the police force. Because, first of all, it's easy to hire. It's difficult, like you would know, to fire. If you have a rogue policeman, it's very difficult to get rid of him, and he can have untold impact on the force, negative impact.
Can I say something that might get me in trouble?
Ika says no.
The young recruits are not a problem,
Okay.
The young guys, the guys come in the force, the A-levels, the A-levels, they're not a problem. No. The young guys are not a problem. Because there's a serious recruitment process, a vetting process. The police, these guys, their backgrounds, what they've done in the past, and things like that. So the new guys not a problem. We are attracting a cohort of very, very good young men and women in the police force, particularly young women. Many women are coming to the police force. Look at the bicycle squad. These are young people, you understand? So the problem is not the young people, not the recruits. The problem is when they get there, they get spoiled.
Along the way,
or in the way, they get spoiled. And that's the problem. So the problem is not, we always need to blame the young people. We always need to blame it's not the young people. It's not young people at all. It's the example that they're given and whether we treat them with fairness. And that is why I'm very strong in saying to the police that there must be fairness, there must be equity, and there must be an absence of sexual harassment. I'm very firm in that.
Yes.
Very firm. So the recruitment is not a problem. The problem is when they get in there, the example that's given to them, and whether in there things are how they're supposed to be.
Yes, but there's also, there are problems with the police force. And when you look at the administration of the police force, for instance, Mr. Prime Minister, there's a thinking that because you may have been a good policeman, that therefore you could be a good administrator and you could be placed, higher up in the ranks and involved in allocating, resources to different places, when that may not be the case, because the fact that you're a fantastic policeman does not mean that you're a good police administrator.
That is true. And there have been some changes. In the police force, there is what you call a senior administrative officer. That is a civilian who is trained in management and trained in etc. She runs that. The secretarial branch of the force has been professional. Is professional in terms of the lady there is at the DPS level, the Revenue Secretary. Then there is a Ministry of Home Affairs where the administration is supposed to happen. What happened with the police force is that it's division within the ranks. Division. It's a matter of people must understand that there can only be one commissioner. There can only be one prime minister. You don't have two commissioners. There is one commissioner. And what is happening is that since people don't understand that, and since some people believe that the process, and I've been criticized for saying that, when I say I'm not a policeman, my father was. I've been criticized for saying that. Politicians have interfered in the belly of the police. And then they come into the belly of the police with all the political situations, whatever the political. So because they believe that the police must support the party. What I want is policemen who support the law. Policemen who are fair, policemen who observe people's human rights, and policemen who will be responsible.
With integrity, I hope.
That's the problem. Yeah. Not because they support the party. And that is the problem that's happened for us a long time. People believe that the politician, the policeman must support the party.
Yeah.
The policeman, but on the other hand, sometimes policemen bring the politics into the force, and then they, by their actions, an emotional situation that's developing very, 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 a situation is developing, which I'm watching very, very closely. You understand? Where there seems to be direct political involvement in some levels of the police. I'm watching that very carefully. Watching very, very carefully. Because you don't want anybody using the police force as their political springboard. You don't want anybody using the thousands as their political springboard. And there's a tendency where people use, and I say a situation that's developing now.
Yes.
And so which we'll talk about at some point.
On the police, and you talk about accountability in government. But what about
my coffee? I hope there's not a meme on that again.
Well, no, that's fine. And what about accountability of the police in terms of, we're not talking about operational matters, but overall accountability. So here we are as a country, here's what the homicide rate is, for instance. setting specific targets at the end of a particular period, looking at the police to see how well they've done in terms of responding, how well they've done in terms of even their image among members of the public, because the police does have an image problem.
There is, Stanley. You see, again, Stanley, it's a matter of resources. The police should have a larger public relations unit. There's only one or two ladies going to read press statements. The police have, and me coming as Minister of National Security, you're very impressed by many things that the police do,
Okay.
I was pleasantly surprised, actually. But the public is not aware of that. The police have debriefing, and where all these things coming into account, what we hear is the negative, and there are negatives. But I must tell you, the police have come a very, very, very long way. Very long way. The police have a police complaints unit.
Yes.
Right? But again, it's understaffed. Because you need the men on the ground. So even though you want to be, the police complaints unit ought to be much larger than it is now. About 3 or 4 people.
Is it manned, if you like, by policemen and women?
It's manned by policemen and women. Now, what I want to do is but there's also police complaints board, which is manned by people not in the police force. Right? That board is a separate board. What happens is that there's not enough communication, people don't know what's happening, and the public are not aware of their rights. The public think their rights, the press are spokespeople for the public. But after the press, there's another step. So what the public thinks is when they get the 7-day thing, the news, and you're a newsman, you can't carry stale news, you carry news that's running, you understand? And so what happens to the public is that as soon as they make the complaint to the press, they stop it, they leave it there.
Okay, and we're speaking with Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre. He's our guest on What Makes You Mad. For those of you just joining us, we are going to be taking a break, and when we come back, a lot more with the Prime Minister.